this out. Well, just trying to have an outing with a 20-year-old truck. We've got some kind of terrible crunchy noise going on. We're only about, what, an hour and a half or so from home? Something like that. So, it might be bearings, it might be the diff. I don't know. We're going to see if Hilda will get us home. Rebel to the rescue, right? Love that truck. So we got our U-Haul dolly, got Hilda all strapped up, got our drive shaft disconnected and strapped up. So she's all ready to go. I guess we're gonna go ahead and try and get this pig home, but man, that's gonna be a rig going down the road, ain't it? But we're gonna take it nice and slow. We're gonna get her home. Pull the transfer case again. So, lessons were learned. When you're pulling out a transfer case with almost 200,000 miles on it because it got pump rub, which is a common issue with GM transfer cases because they're made out of magnesium and they have a terrible pump keeper in them and they break. When you're putting billet parts in it, go ahead and replace the chain and stuff while you're in there. It started making that funky noise. We thought it was a wheel bearing, spent $270 on a wheel bearing. Luckily, I did not put it in last night in the parking lot. Only to find out that the transfer case has a giant hole in it. Now the hole underneath it's covered in very expensive transmission or transfer case fluid. All right, look at this mess. Covered the drive shaft and the freaking muffler, and the center support and everything. So there's our transfer case, right? Okay, let's see. Oh, that beautiful blue transfer case hole. So this is our back half, right? This is our back half, and this is our front half. And if we look right there, it looks like somebody took a freaking multi-tool and just burnt right into that thing. And that's where our issue is. Now, we have clutches in here, like in a transmission. So you got a steel, a clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. So for the auto, it slowly grabs all that in and then transfers the power to the front diff. So once we get it apart, kind of look more like what's going on in there. But like I said, this is an MP. Let's see if I can get up there to see that. There we go. We are an MP 246 GM. Very common. It was used a lot in the MBS trucks. But that's our issue. And it sucks because as weird as that probably was on camera, getting this thing out by yourself on the concrete with a floor jack is not great. So we're going to get it out and see what happened. All right, it is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Hanukkahs, whatever. Hope you all having a great time with your families. We are done for the day. We've done all our family stuff, and I have an afternoon to myself. So we have a trip coming in like 2 weeks, and here we are again So we're going to try and tackle this transfer case thing. Get it out, get it apart, see what actually happened. I'm still searching for a transfer case because I completely refused to pay like $450 for a front half, as y'all saw in the last clip. So we are going to try and get this thing out of here. Let's get to work on this pig. I choose you, Pikachu. Please don't kill me. Always chalk your wheels when you're doing anything drivetrain related. Taking off drive shafts. I mean, unless your parking brake on, which is still not particularly reliable when working on something, the fact that this thing can roll backwards when you take a drive shaft off and you're underneath of it, 2 + 2 still equals 4, man. So, before doing anything drivetrain wise, always chalk your wheels. Yes. And don't hate me on my chocks, because my other one's finally disintegrated. So, and I haven't been over to Harbor Freight to go get new ones. So, don't at me too hard. Man, driveway mechanicing on the concrete. Always the best. That's what it looked like. This here is an MP246 GM Auto Track transfer case. Several different variations of this thing. Several that all go in essentially the same case. What makes this one fairly unique is that it will shift from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive with the push of a button, and it will do it as you're driving. So you can basically drive in all-wheel drive. You can drive 4 low, 4 high, 2-wheel drive, and you can shift it on the fly. This right here is our pigtail for our motor that pushes in the forks, which grabs the clutches that are in here, much like that are inside of a transmission, an automatic transmission, and will slow the speed down from the transmission output into this so that it can engage the front drive shaft so that you have 4-wheel drive, and it can do it all simultaneously and very smoothly without a whole bunch of clunking and clanging. There are good things behind this and there are bad things behind this. The one thing is that it has electronics in it. Electronics go bad. The other thing is that it has clutches and steels like an automatic transmission. Same thing, they go bad. Got chains inside of them that stretch, and they can also go bad and cause catastrophic failure. These things are a weak link. They also have a thing that's called pump rub. And there's a little retainer in here that retains the pump that is pumping the fluid that's inside of here to all the gears and bearings, making everything happy. And that thing moves back and forth. That little retainer is just real thin metal. And eventually that little retainer just gets worn out and from the pump constantly smacking it. And then when there's nothing in the way of that little clip, the pump starts smacking the hell out of the actual case itself and will rub a bunch of little holes inside the case and cause leaks. That was what originally happened with this thing, ironically, when we were away from home. And I got some fluid and I put some fluid in it and said, well, screw it. We're just going to mob home and see if it makes it. Well, it did make it home. I pulled it all apart,
got that keeper and everything out of there. I put a billet pump retainer in there that is very much robust and keeps the pump in place. I got some 2-part JB Weld epoxy and epoxied up the holes because there's no pressure behind it. You just got to keep the fluid inside of it. So that is the common fix for these things unless you want to buy a back case half. Well, there's nothing wrong with the back case half. I just put a little bit of JB Weld on there. So our issue with this particular case is in the front half of it. I have no idea. This is a new one to me and might be a new one to the internet. So this is our clutch half. This is where all our clutches and seals are. This is where our chain runs, and this is where all our bearings and our output goes. Our issue is in the front half of the case, not the back half of the case, which I said is very new to me. Our issue, now that we've got it out, is there's a giant slit right there that's not supposed to be there. When I was up underneath there earlier, and maybe in an earlier clip, you could see maybe there was a little piece of metal that was hanging out of there that kind of looked like a steel. So I don't know. So I'm going to get all the electronics and everything else off of this thing and get all the other retainers off of it, and then we're going to split this case and we're going to see what kind of damage we caused, because we're still looking for a front case half. All right, so we're going to start by taking our motor assembly off here. So there is our motor assembly. Okay, now we got to get all these sensors and plugs out of here. Oof, look at all the, something is unhappy inside there. You see all those metal shavings? Yeah, something is pissed. Okay, well, let's keep going. Look at that one. That got, maybe it's supposed to be like that? No, I don't think so. Look. I think that's torched too. Something cut into that. Oh, wow. Keep going. Oh yeah, look at all that glitter. Look at all that glitter. Isn't it kind of pretty? It's kind of amazing at how destruction can be so pretty sometimes. All right. Here's the other thing that's a real pain, is they have a snap ring on the back side of the housing. It keeps the bearing and stuff in place, and you got to get in there and pull this snap ring while simultaneously splitting the case. So that's the snap ring in there. You can see the little ears, and you get a little pair of flat bill pliers and get in there and trying to split the case at the same time as getting the snap ring out so it'll come apart. So let's see how long that's going to take us. It might take us a minute or two. But
That came apart with the snap ring in place. Yeesh. That, fillers and fillets, is not great. It's not a good sign. There is our back half. Look at all that glitter. That is definitely not something you want to see inside of a mechanical object. But you can kind of see where the two-part epoxy is. That's where our issue was previously. Man, that's a lot of no-no glitter. All right. What's going on in here? So far, I mean, I don't see anything ridiculously crazy. I mean, the chain's definitely sloppy. This is this billet pump retainer I was talking about right here. So put this in place. Let's see here. Our output bearing looks all right. Gears look all right. That chain is not great, but that is definitely not the source of our problems. It may, however, have been the source. So just take this as a learning experience. When you have these things apart, you should go ahead and replace things like chains. Don't be lazy and cheap like I was, because you'll be doing it again later. Let that be a lesson to you. But I'm thinking possibly maybe that chain was just, I don't know, slaughtering our pins. I don't know. Maybe it was just slacking back and forth, or maybe that happened just that fast. I don't know. So, all right, well, let's keep going. Oh man, look at our pickup. That's our oil pickup. Oh no. Ooh, that's bad. Look at that. Oh, look at all that. Oh, that's trashed. Well, see a new one of those in the future. So this is our clutch pack and our drums. And I can already tell you right now. Ooh, wow. That's bad, guys. But look. It just, something disintegrated. Man. That's terrible, terrible news in there, man. Look, that took out our shift fork too. Oh man. That's trash. Let's see. Snap ring's still in place. I don't know. I don't know what happened in here. But it's loose. Like, bad loose, look. Oh, shaky, sorry. Look. That is
That's bad. That's crazy talk. Alright, let's see. Get the snap ring off here, maybe. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So these are clutches and steels. What are clutches and steels, you say? Well, steel is just that. It's a piece of steel. And this one's got some chew-up marks on it. So you have a steel, and then you have a clutch. So, oof, look how terrible that clutch material is, how it's all chewed up. So you have a steel, and then you have a clutch, and then you have another steel, like so, and then you have another clutch, and so on and so on and so on. And depending on how many of these you have is how you have which gear you have. Fluid gets pumped into here, and these are spinning, like so. And they're causing frictions, or they're causing friction between the two. And that's what causes your grab, so that you can transfer your power. Oddly enough, I found out recently that these clutches and steels are the exact same clutches and steels that belong into a 46 and a 47 RE Chrysler transmission overdrive. So, weird little fun fact for you. But that's our clutch and steel pack. All of those are trash. Like, the base steel looks good, probably reusable, but every single one of these frictions, every single one is just embedded. Man, that is just straight carnage. So this was not a chain issue, this was a snap ring issue. Alright, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. You see that? That's a steel right here. When those clutch packs came loose from that snap ring, and it literally just spun this like a saw, and it just cut right through that magnesium like a hot knife through butter. That went from not being a problem to being a problem in about 40 miles. And then I'm so glad that I didn't decide to say screw it and send it, because that would have cut this case in half before we even made it through downtown. So that was a good call. That was a good call. But look at that case all the way around. All the way around, boys and girls. That thing is FUBAR. Alright, well, at least now we found out what happened, right? I mean, gosh, that's so bad. So, what happened? Alright, let's talk about it. So, I think what happened is I'll chalk this up to a little bit of mechanical failure and a little bit of human error. So, when I had this thing apart, rebuilt a bunch of these things in different ways, different brands, and all that kind of stuff. And either I didn't get that snap ring all the way in there correctly, or it broke. Because it definitely was not where it was supposed to be. I'm not 100% sure that that's supposed to be a C-style snap ring, or it's supposed to be one of those ones that goes around a little bit more than that. I don't know. I don't remember. And I don't have the breakdown diagram in front of me, which will probably show me that I'm an idiot. So, but that's what happened. This snap ring came loose, which with the spring pushed all the steels and clutches forward. They came out of the drum and disintegrated the case. So that's what happened. Man. And there ain't much left in here usable. Like, really not much else in here usable. I mean, the shift fork and everything, all that looks good. Planetaries look good. But, I mean, looking at our input-output shaft assembly, it literally, look, it ate a ring. It absolutely ate a ring into the shaft. So, man. So that's toast. So we can't use that anymore. Of course, you're going to want to throw new bearings in this thing too. Hard lesson learned, but oh well. Race, break, fix, repeat. Right? So it's a mechanical thing. Mechanical things will fail. Not a big deal. So now we're on the hunt to try and find another MP246 locally. And I got 2 weeks to do it. I got 2 weeks to pull it apart and clean it and rebuild it and put it back together. I think out of all of this, really, I've only got like a couple of usable things, which will be the rear case and the sensors for the most part. Everything else, maybe the shift fork and all that, and the planetaries if I absolutely have to, which, I mean, those are just parts that just never really go bad unless you're doing some really dumb stuff. We got our pump retainer our billet pump retainer we're gonna reuse, because the pump is now trash too, because I mean it's gonna be filled full of debris. Our shift fork is probably good. All of our gears and stuff are good, but I mean, even in a used one, I doubt that that'll be a problem anyway. And then our rear case is all right. But other than that, pretty much the rest of this is just straight scrap metal. Disappointing, ladies and gentlemen. Disappointing. Now the crunch time. So we got it out. We know how screwed we are. We know we can fix it. I guess next time that you'll see me, it'll be hopefully me smiling and having a MP246 in the back of my truck. All right, let's get after it.